Welcome back to The Book Stop. I'm so excited to talk about today's episode. Fair warning moving forward, this podcast does contain spoilers as we go over major events within the novels. Before we get into it, don't forget to follow us on Apple, Spotify, and Instagram at The Book Stop Podcast. And welcome back to another episode of The Book Stop. Today I have special guest Katelyn. And what book did you bring for us to talk about?
The book that I brought today is called The Rise of Kyoshi. It is part of the Avatar universe, and it is by F.C. Yee. Super excited about this guy.
Amazing guy. I wish I knew him personally, because I would give him a pat on the back for this book.
I know. Along with all the creators, because gosh, I'm so excited about all this.
That's the cool thing, is that he did work with one of the creators. Was it Michael that he's working with?
Michael Dante.
Michael, so it makes it feel like even more sweeter. This is coming from the mind that created the Avatar universe, so.
It started it all.
Alright, so a little bit about the author before we jump into it. F.C. Yee, he grew up in New Jersey, and he actually has another whole series called the Genie Lu series. I found it interesting, though, that every book that he writes, he does a dumpling restaurant scene.
I believe that.
He's got his own little charm, and he puts it in everyone, and I think that's so cute.
Gotta have a signature.
Exactly. And I also found it interesting, because he says in the Avatar universe that his favorite character is Toph, which is my favorite character. So I just felt even more related to him, you know?
You were like, it's meant to be.
All right, so we're going to hop into this game. So you are going to summarize this book in, let's say, 30 seconds or less. Oh, gosh. The twist today is you're going to have to summarize it 15 words or less.
Okay, oh boy. How would I summarize this book? First of all, it's depressing. It is most definitely depressing, but that leads into growth and happiness with romance and love. From that love just becomes so much confusion, and that just builds up to where is this going next?
All right. I love that you went with words instead of doing like complete sentences. I like that you kind of broke it up a little bit.
Because that's the story. The story is so emotionally written. This book was a roller coaster, and I tell you, I have not read a book in quite a long time. Mm-hmm. And I'm sad at myself for that. But I'm happy that this was one of the first books that I chose to read in a long time. Yeah. All of those words just explain this book, and I love it.
I do too. I might be a little biased. I love the Avatar universe so much. It is my absolute favorite thing. I literally have a cat named Appa. It's my favorite thing. So I might be a little biased, but like what Yee does in this book is just...
It's magic.
Absolutely.
It is.
So I'm just going to summarize it. And I know we keep talking about the Avatar universe, so I'll explain that as well a little bit. So the Avatar universe is everybody could bend an element. And there was this one person that could bend all four of the elements. So air, water, fire, earth. And this is called the Avatar. Back in the day, this is one of the avatars that had a very strong impact in the Avatar universe. This book specifically, Rise of Kyoshi, follows Kyoshi through her teenage years, mapping her journey from a girl of humble origins to a merciless pursuer of justice, still feared and admired centuries after her death. It dives into her past, sharing secrets, reliving past choices between right and wrong, and opening up about her bisexuality. Kyoshi was a strong, determined avatar, but behind her fans, she was feeling as lost as everyone else. I'm so excited. Let's just jump into it.
Please, let's.
So what is your favorite quote from this book?
Okay, so I thought about this one for a good minute. Mm-hmm. While I was reading the book, I took some notes because quotes in this book they're all over the place. Mm-hmm. And it was so hard for me to narrow it down on like a specific quote. Perfect. I chose 3. They're more so towards the end because the beginning of the book, it was good. There were some good key points, but towards the end, it just felt like everything was starting to connect, and I was just reading things that I was like, wow, that resonates with the entirety of the book, where it's coming from. So one of my favorite quotes is between Kyoshi and Tay, and it is not actually a quote, more of a thought of Kyoshi's, and she says, "Control by tantrum." And this is during the raid when they go to the Earth Kingdom castle and she captures him. Mm-hmm. She's supposed to assassinate him, but he throws himself at her. pretty much like begging and like pleading, like he does not know what he was doing. He was following like the orders of his dad, and he just followed in his footsteps. And all Kyoshi can think about at that moment is just how everybody follows in the footsteps of their predecessors. And she just cannot stand it anymore. All of these things keep happening because people don't know how to break the cycle. And all she can think about is that he is controlling things by throwing a tantrum.
Yeah.
He does not know how to control anything by being a lawful, just, knowing person. And that just hit me because it hit her. And she's like, I need to know what to do with this person. He's right or wrong. I don't know, but now I'm understanding my right as an avatar. He's controlling things by throwing tantrums, and I need to fix this. It's
actually kind of ironic because she has to follow these footprints of like other avatars behind her, focus so much on her emotions because people think she's so strict, and it's really opening up her eyes of being like, okay, I need to lead more with my brain than with my heart.
Absolutely. I totally agree with that. It completely full circles around to her because it almost just hits her hard that she's got to deal with what she's dealing with, and she can't just throw herself into her vengeance and her hurt about everything that's happened to her so far. I love that one. I loved that one.
That's a good one.
Yeah. Second one. Now, of course, this was the love scene on this one. Okay. So cute, though. It is between Karima, and it is when she catches them on the edge of the lake. Oh. And they're laying together, and she startles them awake, and she says, it must have been nice sleeping under the stars. And you can just hear that little tinge of just that little sarcasm in there. Just like, oh, it just must have been nice to be with somebody. Yeah. And no judgment, though. She loved it. And it was so amazing, that quote, because it's shown right there that the avatar loves just anybody and everything about the world and the universe and is drawn to nothing but the goodness of everything and love. And people recognize that. Yeah. In that book. And this was way back when. I mean, when was this? This place, this was so long ago, ancient times. And it even says in the book, I can't quite quote it, but it does say people in a certain town they were going to wouldn't be so nice to understand.
Yeah, there was the Fire Nation. They were going, because that's where Rangi, that's where Rangi's from, is the Fire Nation.
Yep. It was such a nice moment to just feel that in the book, because you could feel it building that whole time, you know, and it took that long. I put page 274, that's halfway through the book. You know, you're building and building, and you're just like, all you hear is Karima say, oh, it must be nice sleeping under the stars with a friend. And, you know, and you can just hear it in her voice. It was such a great quote. Such a great one.
Yeah, I love that one too, because what have you said, you know, not a lot of people would have accepted them, but she was glad that her companion did, like the people that she felt close to did. Yeah, I also like that scene.
That was a good one. Last one.
Alrighty.
Now this one is for all of those Avatar fans out there. I know you will appreciate this one. And if you have not read the book, please read the book, because I know as soon as I quote this, you will know what I'm saying. It is a quote from Wong, and he says, the fan is not a weapon. It's an extension of your arm. Suki says that the day that they meet. When Sokka goes to her and asks for training, she tells Sokka not to use the fan as a weapon, but as an extension of your arm. And I read that, and all I could hear was her voice from the show, and it got me. It got me so hard. I was like, oh my goodness, if that is just not quote for quote,
Yeah, absolutely. It sends chills, you know? Oh my goodness. Yeah, this book really opened, like, if you love the Avatar universe, you have to. Why haven't you read this book?
Exactly,
I know.
out
for like a year, like 2 years almost now. Like, read this book. But yeah, I love those quotes. My quote is also about the little romance scene. So we have, the Avatar can be reborn, but you can't, Kyoshi. I don't want to give you up to the next generation. I couldn't bear to lose you. I like that it shows that, because Kyoshi comes from not so great background. She, her parents left her, so she feels like not a lot of people care about her. People are turning their backs to her. People are turning not to be who they are. So having Rangi there and saying this to her, it makes her feel like, okay, I'm actually appreciated. I want people want me to be here.
She is a very intimidating person. And it's sad because she feels so defeated because she's so under so much stress, and she feels like she doesn't have any control over all these things. And then outside of that, all these people just look at her and feel so intimidated. She's got Rangi there, and all you can feel is just this devotion. And you really feel it. So much devotion towards Kyoshi and how she deserves so much more than Kyoshi thinks she deserves.
Mm-hmm. To go back to Kyoshi's emotion, in the Avatar universe, you with Aang's story, you see that she's very, as we said already, strict, and she doesn't have a lot of emotions. This is her teenage years, and you get to see her raw emotions and how she feels at the moment, especially her views of being the Avatar. So I love that we kind of get to see that inside. I'm so glad that we get to see third person, we get to see inside her thoughts and stuff. So
that is so true. Oh my goodness, I actually never really put that much thought into it, but you're right. With the OG, with Aang and the gang, you see her in that state where
she kills a man.
She straight up just kills a guy, and she's like, nope, I was protecting my island, and I did what I had to do. And you see her that way, and now in this book, you're right. You get to see that raw emotion right then, right there with Yoon, with everything, when her best friend pretty much gets taken right in front of her. Actually, more than one get taken right in front of her. And you get to actually see that raw emotion that they don't actually show in the original show, which is phenomenal to read.
That's another thing I want to talk about. I'm so glad that this has a much mature approach to it. So we have actual death scenes, and we see people getting murdered.
Jiang Zhu literally openly admits that he kills how many people? How many is it?
Way too many.
Way too many people. He literally admits that he had them dig their own graves. You're reading these scenes. I'm so glad you brought that up, because as much as the OG Avatar and Aang is such a great show, and he shows so much hope and humanity for everything, and he takes the stance as what you would think as an air nomad. Mm-hmm. She takes the stance as an earth avatar. Mm-hmm. She shows strength. She understands that it's death and life. Mm-hmm. I love the maturity in it. It shows so much more. We're not gonna go too much in depth with it, but Korra kind of goes there just a little bit.
A little bit, yeah.
They tried to go there just a little bit more with Nickelodeon as much as they could, and I did appreciate that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did appreciate that. So I'm so glad that we get to read that more maturity in the books.
I think it just adds more to the stakes. Being an Avatar, you get to see that she has to make these more difficult situations. Aang, of course, he had to choose between, killing the Fire Lord and all this kind of stuff, and you get to see him take a more not so drastic choice. But in this book, you get to see the more, I guess, realistic options.
Yes, absolutely.
There's multiple times that Kyoshi kills a man.
Yes, multiple times that you see death in this book, and honestly, it's so much more relatable. Mm-hmm. Me, as a kid watching Avatar, I loved it. It was just enough for me. But what grips the audience to this universe is because we get more in depth with it. Mm-hmm. And the creators understand that you can't just be little kiddish about this. This is life and death. They are the Avatar. They are spirit and human. Mm-hmm. They decide almost justice in itself, judgment. And right there, you can't just make that, what it is for a kid's show. You can start it that way, but if you want to go and really experience as much as you can and how much we appreciate it and can sit here and talk about it like this is when you got to throw in the life and death and the murders and the everything with gangs and bandits and powers that people don't understand. When I read that lightning, this was the first time lightning was seen in the Avatar universe. Oh my gosh, that was mind-blowing. Yeah. I was like, they didn't even believe that was a thing until Kyoshi laid there and was struck by lightning. Mm-hmm. Oh my goodness, my mind was blown.
It's even funnier for us because we've seen lightning, you know, with like Zuko and Iroh and stuff, and then going into it like this where we've seen it, but this is a complete myth to them. It's not real. And you know how much power it takes to be able to not only do lightning, but to redirect it. So it's like, it shows how powerful that guy was, and Kyoshi killed him. The power structure is very nice, so you get to be able to see that a lot. I want to jump back to what you were talking about, justice. Kyoshi is a character that has her views on things and justice, and a lot of this book is about being able to decide what is right and what is wrong, and Kyoshi having to be the one to make that decision. A lot of the time she talks about how she doesn't want to kill people because she thinks that, you know, she's not God. She doesn't get to make these kind of decisions. So there's this whole plot point of like her running from Jinzu, and she's debating if she wants to kill him because she's tired of being afraid of him. And there's this quote that I also brought because I thought it was a really good one. Rengi's really putting it against it. Like, why do you need to kill him? Like, why is it so important to you? Kyoshi says, it means he's gone for good, she snaps. No longer walking this earth. That's what it has to mean. Why, Rengi says, why do you need this so badly? Kyoshi says, because then I don't have to be afraid of him anymore. I'm afraid, alright. I'm scared of him, and I don't know what else will make it go away. Very hard thing to read, because this is her completely bearing her soul, because she's not one to admit that she's scared, especially when she is the Avatar, and seeing the Avatar scared, it makes everyone else feel more scared. Do we get to decide who dies and who doesn't just because I'm an Avatar?
Well, just like how Lao Gi, when she goes to Lao Gi and she realizes that he's this guy that's been living for forever. He's this immortal who's found, you know, immortality, and all he does, she's found out, is kill whoever he likes. So they have this battle. She has this battle with him to kill, you know, Governor Tay. She's in this constant battle. What she realizes with him is that it's not personal. Mm-hmm. So she doesn't want to kill Tay. She doesn't want to assassinate him because it's not personal. She's finding it difficult. Now, with Zu, it's a little different. Now it becomes personal. What I like reading about this is Kyoshi has a hard time deciphering what is good for her to do for society, but what is also good to do for herself. Mm-hmm. She wants to do both. What does she do? She decides not to kill Tay. Disappoints Leggy, her Sifu, disappoints him, but she takes that responsibility. But then what does she do? She kills you. Avatar state, and she's fully aware of it. She battles constantly with right and wrong because it's not personal. If you read the book and you go through it and really analyze, she does what's better for society more than she does for herself. Mm-hmm. It's sad. It's really sad. She so much wants to get clarity for what she's doing, but it's never enough for her. And I'm really looking forward to the second book because I'm really hoping that that's something that comes to an end for her.
Yes. Because
she battles so much with, no, I'm not going to kill him, but I want to kill him because of this. I'm going to take care of him because of my personal reasons.
I guess, like, what I'm excited about is because her personal reason was Zu, and now he's dead. So I'm very excited to see, like, now that she doesn't have this driving force of this fear behind her, I'm excited to see what she's still gonna work towards. Maybe her focus is a little bit more narrow now that she doesn't have this force following her all the time. So yeah. I'm excited to see that. But yeah, what is your favorite character?
This is so tough for me with the Avatar universe because I fall in love with every character differently for different reasons. In this book specifically, I always fall in love with the waterbender. Every time somebody asks me what's your favorite, you know, element to bend, and I always say water because they're so true. They're true to who they are all the time. Karima, love her. Karima, I love her. I love her so much. She's got her sarcastic moments. She's got her funny moments. She's got her serious moments. She has her moments where she is just all about the love and I am here for you. Let me heal you. I'm not good enough to heal you. I need to take you somewhere who can be better than me to take care of you. She resonates with me. Always the waterbenders do. Even Katara. She got a little annoying sometimes with that. There's always hope. But she was always there. My mother's necklace. You know, but They're always there. They're always there. They're strong.
She's a very, very strong person.
Strong, independent, but loyal to those they love. And I always resonate with those characters so much. Even though I want to fall in love with the Toffs and the strong ones and the, and the Sokkas and the funny ones, the Wongs, the Lex, like I love them all, but I resonate with the Kataras and the Karimas so much. I just feel like that's maybe who I am, maybe deep down.
To piggyback off that, I 100% agree, except I'm more the Earth. I've always said that I would be an Earthbender, and I love Toph, and I resonate more with, like, the Earthbenders. So I picked Kyoshi as my favorite, not only because we see the most character development within her, so we get to see a little bit more background, but I was in the universe, I would definitely be a Kyoshi warrior, for sure, and I would live on... There's a reason wwhy there's an island named after her, because she deserves it.
Yes, she does. Oh my goodness. So, if she isn't a badass.
Yeah, very true. I don't know, I really love Kyoshi. Ever since they introduced her in the show, I was like, oh my god, I want more of her, and I'm so glad they did it. Me personally, I would definitely have to say Kyoshi.
Yeah, no, she's such a powerful force. I love her. Definitely.
Yeah, she is awesome. And then when she got her getup on, she's even more powerful.
Those gloves! Stop with those gloves. Oh my goodness, she put them gloves on. She was like, girl, these are mine. Oh, I feel these.
I love it that they were war gloves. And
it fit her perfectly.
Oh my gosh.
I loved that scene. Oh, she put them on. She clasped those irons and she went, this is not good for any type of social situation, but oh girl, if this ain't me, I tell you.
And then he gave them to her for free. A discount? A sale? So, I don't know. I would love them.
Free and beautiful.
So I just want to talk about world building a little bit. And I know that we talked about that Michael worked on this a ton, but a lot of it is still new stuff. If you read at the beginning of the book, it's a letter from Michael, and he's talking about how he worked on this book with Yi. And he was talking about how, yes, he did pull a lot of material from the Avatar universe, but he still twisted it to be original, fit the story, so it felt like a fresh new world that he was walking into.
But it was, though. And that's what's so amazing is because, and I'm going to go back to the quote here, the fan is not a weapon, it's an extension of your arm. And when I read that quote, even though I had heard it before from the original Avatar, it's almost like I read it for the first time. This was the original time that was said. It was amazing how they took that and created it to be like it was its beginning.
Feels very authentic. Praise to Yi. He did such an amazing job with this. Like, not only bringing new elements into our
oh, what a pun.
Elements into universe, he's still tapping into what Michael created. So he's able to do both while still being able to maintain a story that we can follow, where we feel like we're there for the first time, but we can still kind of be like, you know what? I've seen that before.
It's all coming together now.
Yeah.
It's amazing. When you read it, you can go, oh my goodness, this correlates to this episode and this random... You can read a book and go, oh my god, Kyoshi is correlating to Korra. And that's years and years, centuries.
Centuries, yeah.
Centuries in the future, but you are correlating the Avatar spirit with the new Avatar spirit, with the universe he's creating. It's phenomenal.
Even Lao Go, having the connection with Lake Lao Go. Like, they literally named a lake after him.
That's what I'm saying. Everything correlates. And when you're reading this, he does such a phenomenal job of creating it like it's original.
And getting so much detail into it.
It's wonderful writing.
See, when I read books, I'm very good at picking up. Like, I can't read mysteries because I always figure it out. This book, multiple times, had me screaming. Literally in my car, screaming, like, what is happening right now? But we'll get into it in a second.
Yeah, because I'm about to pull my hair out. Because straight up, though, when I finished this, I was like, this is like a drama. I'm reading a drama book. I did not realize I was going to just be reading a, like, Sunday morning, oh my goodness, what's happening today? Drama show.
Let's get on the flying bison and head to the next place.
What's going to happen today? Oh my goodness.
So who would you say is your favorite relationship in this book?
He does such a phenomenal job at character development throughout the entire thing that you may think that you're falling in love with a character development or hating one, and it changes. In every universe with Avatar, it's been so hard for me to pick one. I had to sit and think about what my favorite relationship was with every Avatar universe, and I couldn't think of one because it's so hard because they all change, and you may like them in the beginning, like with Korra and Asami. I didn't like them in the beginning, you know what I mean? They don't like each other, there's all these things going on, and then towards the end you're just like, go to the spirit realm together, oh please go together and be together and have fun and go explore. The development in this universe is so hard to pick a favorite, but I will pick one. I just wanted to let everybody know that it's hard to pick a favorite relationship because of the development with everybody in every single universe. But my favorite in this book is Kyoshi and Lek.
Okay.
It got me to tears towards the end.
Gone too soon, that's for sure.
That was tough.
That was messed up.
That was really tough for me to read that, because she was finally accepting that he was almost a part of, not just because she's sworn to him as a sworn brother through the gang and the Dalfoy, and no, she recognized him as actual brother.
I guess to like give a little background about Lek is after Kyoshi's parents kind of dropped her off at the doorstep of her master, they have this gang that she finds out later on about, and Lek is kind of part of that gang, and her parents kind of took him in because he was quick-handed and was really good at throwing rocks, was his main thing. He does an entire backstory about why he's good at throwing rocks, which kind of and he shares that with just Kyoshi, which opens up another floodgate of being like, okay, I love them even more. And right at the end, right before he does eventually pass, he calls her sister. And at first, Kyoshi's like, I don't like it. But then the more that she spends time with him, the more she kind of is like, you saw my parents more than anything, and I can't hold that against you. It's not your fault that they chose you over me. And I respect you. She does eventually kind of accept him as a brother. And then Zuzu, the Zuzu of this universe, which I hate, but he decided to come in and kind of ruin that whole thing. And ends up,
Gosh, did he ruin it to the fullest extent? Did he ruin it?
Him, yeah.
That development right there. As much as I would love to say that I love Kyoshi and Rangi, that relationship right there, and Kyoshi and Zhu, for that matter, John Zhu, like that villainous throughout the entire book, how that builds with him being the villain and her fear of him. Her and just the whole Umbrella Academy just itself as one.
Academy.
My God. Oh my God. Umbrella Academy.
It's the Flying Opera Company. But I do like Umbrella Academy.
Oh my God. I can't.
That's so funny. Okay.
That's so funny. Like the relationship that Kyoshi has with Kelsang. Him finding her and taking her from almost nothing and recognizing her for what she was and building her up to that relationship of him being killed in front of her eyes. Like there's so many relationships in this book, but I chose her and Lek because of that difficulty that she went through the entire book. It started with her being abandoned, and it led to her finding a family, and that family being murdered. She's gone through so much, and that's why I chose that one, because she has to deal with so many turmoils in her life, and that right there is something that she will always live with, and it forms her as Avatar Kyoshi.
Now, see, I was gonna pick Kyoshi and Lek. I liked him. I just wish there was more. I feel like he was kind of killed off a little too early.
I thought he was gonna stay till the second book. Yeah. I really did. I was really sad. I really was. Yeah. I thought the whole thing was gonna stay together. Yeah. Because you're so used to the Avatar gang staying together. In this book, it shows so much can change, and they don't stay together.
Yeah. I went basic, and I said that mine was Kyoshi and Rangi.
That's okay.
Because everyone that she's been close to does end up being killed. So I feel like Rangi, they have a solid shot. I think that they're going to be endgame. I think, hopefully, that Rangi makes it through the next book, please. But yeah, I just really like them because they're very emotional together, which the other characters don't get to see a lot, and their relationship's so hidden, but we as the readers get to see it. I like having that kind of look over Kyoshi's shoulder and see this emotion on both of the characters, and we kind of get to look into that. So that's why I chose them. I'm hoping for endgame vibes here where they kind of stay together. But we'll see. So we're going to talk about the Flying Opera Company a little bit, but really the time that she spends with them. So the course of this book takes a month. The entire course of the book is, apart from the beginning where it skips 9 years, obviously, that doesn't count. Yeah, literally from, working with Yoon.
But when they go meet Tagaka, and that whole thing happens, and then when... they go to the mountain and Yoon gets, sucked up by the spirit, and she finds out that she's the Avatar. This is just 1 month.
1 month.
1 month? Okay, so I was really unaware of that time frame. I thought this was, within, a year span, maybe, or, 6 months or something. This was 1 month.
1 month, yep. So she finds out she's the Avatar. She goes through this whole thing of trying to learn all the elements. She learns fire, and...
She learns fire, air...
Not air yet. She learns water. She wanted to learn air, and Rangi's like, you need to learn air first before you learn water, because we need to do it in the cycle. But had just started learning air.
True. Okay. Yep.
With the fans.
Yes. Okay.
The fans is this whole thing about she can't even lift a tiny little pebble, but she can lift an entire mountain.
Right.
And the fans are able to help her kind of control her powers.
Which I love that quote. So, extension of your arm. Oh, love that.
But yeah, everything happens until the very end, which we're going to talk about in a second. Until the very end, it's all about a month. Give a couple weeks maybe, but
wow, I actually did not realize.
But yeah, and then she meets, the Flying Opera Company, and she finds out about her parents, and she's kind of learning to trust all these people, and she doesn't have a lot of time, as well as learning, because the Flying Opera Company is the game that her parents used to own, or, they're trying to teach her these elements, as well as, her trying to control her powers, because she's not very controlled.
She's not. Her emotions are all over the place. This girl does not know what she's doing. These fans, they're heaven sent for her.
Yeah.
She tries to, at the end, show her strength without them. She don't know what she's doing.
So, yeah, but everything over a month.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm interested in the second one if it's going to be spanned out a little bit more.
I would hope so. I would like to. Yeah. I'm really hoping that this goes at least, maybe within a year span. Maybe there's going to be a series, maybe a third. How that going to go? I'm hoping this is I know that this is Rangi on the cover.
Oh, yeah.
I know this is her.
Well, minus this part.
Oh, my goodness, poor girl.
What I did was I covered the top knot. Which we're going to talk about right now. So the end of this book was a whirlwind. We had Lek die, Rangi gets kidnapped, and her top knot gets cut off, which, if you know anything about the Avatar universe, is a huge dishonor.
Such an insult. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, your hair, especially your top knot, is a royal crown. If you cut that off, you are showing utter disrespect for the Fire Nation.
And she is royalty, this girl. Yeah. She is the utmost of royalty. And I tell you, he cut that thing so short. She had cuts on her skull. This guy cut this thing so short just to prove a point. Just to dishonor her. Just to get Kyoshi back. Just to prove a point, this guy. What a terrible person.
So this actually makes Kyoshi decide, you know what? It's time to face him. So she does eventually meet up with him, Jinzu, and she's having this talk with him, and he's sitting across from her at the table and is like, you know what? If you don't come back to me, I'm going to level this entire building with all of these people in it. They're sitting here facing off each other. He's trying to rip the building down. She's trying to hold it back up. And then all of a sudden, the ghost of Yoon walks out. also slightly in love with him for a little bit there. And this is her best friend, and he walks out. He comes up and kills Jinzhu, and she's just like, what the heck is going on? And then he disappears, and that pretty much is the end of the book. Like, she ends up going to an air temple, I believe.
Yes.
And she's sitting down, and she is finally connecting with her avatar state in the spirit world, and we get to see the previous avatar in her past that she has no idea this is a connection of that she can get to. So it ends with pretty much like a cliffhanger. We don't know what's going to happen next.
Yep, it is the best end of a book I've ever read. The build-up of her and her revenge and her love and everything together. And all she sees is her best friend just appear out of nowhere and take the one rock that Lek left behind and just shove it through his chest. And he smiles at her and then disappears. And what scares me is, like, at first I thought that she was, like, not in her right mind and maybe she was seeing things. Mm-hmm. But at the end, you read that people could collaborate her story and saw a young man do that. This is the biggest twist of a story I've ever read in my life. And then she finds her way to the air nomads. They keep her informed of what's going on. And I almost picked, for the relationship, to go back a little bit, I almost chose Kelsang. Because at the very end of the book, it didn't matter how disgraced that he was for defending what he thought was right. She wanted a statue made of him. Mm-hmm. In honor of him, because he was just. And she saw it that way because she knew what was just and what was not. And she's taken life and she's saved lives. Gosh, this book. It's so good. This book. I cannot wait to dive more into this Avatar universe, and I'm hoping that he keeps coming out with more, because...
Yeah, that'd be amazing. So we're going to play a little game here. So as you know, and if you don't know, I'll explain. In the Avatar universe, all of the animals, except for that one bear, is hybrid. So we have like bird mouse or something like that. Everything's hybrid with another one, which I think is an awesome twist. I think it's a cool little detail that they add into the story. So I decided to make my own. So here I have a list of hybrid animals that some are in the universe and some I just made up. I'm just going to read them and you just determine if they're real or not. All right, so the first one we have here is badger frog.
A badger frog. Okay, so that's not real in the Avatar universe, I don't think.
It is.
Is it really?
It is.
Okay, I know of a badger mole.
Yeah, badger frogs are also real.
Are they really?
Crazy ones.
Oh my goodness, now I just feel like I should say yes to them all.
All right, next we have koala frog.
Okay, well, I'm going to say that that's not real.
Nope, not what I made up.
Okay, good. Okay.
Scorpion dolphin.
That's made up.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's made up for sure.
Yeah. Rabaroo.
A Rabaroo is for sure Avatar. Mm-hmm. I remember that episode. Yeah. Oh, and she has little baby Rabaroos, and he makes them a whole new... I love you, Aang, in your zoo. I love you.
I love that episode so much. Next, we have camel fit.
I feel like it's an Avatar thing. It is. That's an Avatar thing.
All right. Next, we have lizard cow.
A lizard cow, I feel like, is made up.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Next, we have hog monkey.
A hog monkey is Avatar.
Iguana seal.
Made up.
Nope, that one isn't one of them.
Really?
Yeah. They have the iguana parrot.
Oh, okay.
All right, and last one, possum hen.
Made up.
Yep. Yay, you did a good job.
Oh, I love that. I love that so much.
So we're going to jump into our missed opportunities. So is there anything in your own opinion that you would have changed, would have done differently? Personally, I wish there was a little bit more bending. I wish we would have saw the power a little bit more. I know it was mostly just brought up during the raid scenes mostly, and then a little bit here and there, like when she was training, for example. But I wish I would have saw it, like, even like when Uncle Iroh would used to like just heat up his tea or something like that. I wish we would have saw little more of it integrated into their normal lives, but maybe bending back then just wasn't as a popular thing as it was like later on. But I just wish there was a little bit more of that. But other than that, this book was freaking amazing.
That is so weird that you bring that up, because I was so in tune with like just reading the book itself that I didn't actually realize the lack of bending in the book.
Mm-hmm.
Because you get so caught up with just learning just the history of the Avatar, just Kyoshi herself, and you don't actually realize that they do towards the end of the book. You're correct. But it's not till the raid that they actually start really bending, and when she's training, does she really start like bending and like
Kyoshi makes sense because she doesn't have control over it yet. But
the other people, like, you don't hear of, like just bending, just making fire to heat your tea, or just doing just random sorts of bending, like how Aang just like
the marbles.
Yeah, he just like to play around with his air bending. He just like to fly around on his on his staff. That's why lightning was such a big thing.
Yeah.
And I didn't even think lightning was even going to be brought up in that book.
Which is cool. I think it was a cool thing because you got to see like the origin story of the lightning, which is awesome. So, because I always thought it was Uncle Iroh kind of invented it.
Ditto, but apparently he had studied it from waterbenders who knew of Zhu himself, who apparently knew how to do lightning. Yoon,
yeah.
Yoon. He's such a small part of everything in the beginning, but such a large part of the entire book. Almost feel sad about his entirety of the book. And actually, I wish that I knew a little bit more of his backstory. I wish I knew a little bit more of why he's shown himself at the end of the book as a spirit. I wish I knew more about that. He's just this part of this story that creates Kyoshi's story.
Right.
So it's essentially, he's the start of her story.
I guess the little background of Yoon is like he was her best friend, but he was initially the Avatar. Everyone thought that he was the Avatar. So he was doing all the training, and that's how they got Khalsan was training him, so that's how they met. And then when Zhu took them to figure out who the Avatar was, he was a sacrifice to find out it was Kyoshi. So you really only get to see him for a small portion of the beginning of the book and at the end. So I wish there was more, maybe flashbacks would have been cool to show a little bit more of a connection, especially if he's going to come back in the second book. We need a little bit more flashback into it.
Yes, absolutely. Yes. So yes, that is something.
That's great.
Yes, I would love that, because he was such an influence on her, and becoming the Avatar herself. He's such an influence on her, and then killing Changju. This is such an influence on the entire universe of the Avatar.
Absolutely,
so
yeah.
I'm really hoping that that's something
him back a little bit.
I can get an answer to.
So speaking of the next book, what are some things that you think is going to happen? Like, any guess? Because I haven't read the book yet. You haven't read the book yet. I don't know a single thing about the book. So
me either.
What do you think are some things that might happen?
Well, the way that the book ends, she sees Crick. I am just so hoping that Kyoshi finds some sort of spiritual awareness in the beginning of this book that helps her develop a path. And then I just want to see her lead this world into what I know is the Avatar universe, because she's before Roku.
Yeah.
So I need to see what happens before Roku. You know what I mean? Like, I cannot begin to fathom what this Avatar universe is going to behold before Roku shows up.
Yeah.
Because this is Kyoshi. She's so strong. She's so independent. She's going to form her own island. She's going to cause the universe to be what it is for Roku. Yeah. So I'm going to read this book, and if she dies at the end of this book, I don't know what to do. You know what I mean? So I'm scared. I'm scared to think about what's going to happen in this book. I'm excited.
Yeah.
But scared.
I don't think it's going to end.
No, it can't.
Because this is still in her teenage years. I don't think they're going to do a time skip. Because now we need to see, like, what's going on. Like, what are they going to be doing next? She obviously has to master all the elements. So we have to get that in there. She has all those people looking for her. Everybody's like, where the heck's the Avatar? We need her. And then what's going on with Rengi? Like, I feel like their relationship's going to have a downfall. Her responsibilities are
How's her mother going to handle all of this?
Exactly, yeah. I feel like their values aren't going to match up. Rengi's going to be like, listen, I don't think you should do this. And then Kyoshi's like, I have to. I'm the Avatar. There's going to be that kind of disagreement.
Well, Laogi did say that when they meet, it's not going to be the same. They're going to be different people.
Yeah.
So she has to understand that that is going to be what becomes of her and Rangi.
I do know one thing that's going to happen. Laugo is going to become a lake.
Oh, of course. Well, of course.
That's all I know is going to happen. But yeah, I'm super, super excited. With Yi's writing, it's honestly really hard to guess where it's going to go. Because he's so, like, just throws these cliffhangers and these plot twists all around. You don't really know what he's going to throw.
I feel like I'm watching a sitcom. And I do not know what's going to go from chapter to chapter.
Mm-hmm.
And that is why I love it. Because it keeps me going. I question every outcome.
I can't wait to come back to this book after a couple of years and, like, rereading it again. I can't wait. There is one more thing I want to talk about before we head out. So I want to talk about the status of being the Avatar and then how each Avatar's view is on it. So we could talk about, like, Kyoshi and Aang's and even Roku a little bit and Korra. Like, all the Avatars that we've seen in the past and the future. The public view is like, oh, Avatar, you know, they're the bridge between the spirit world and the human world. And being the Avatar is so cool. You can bend all of the elements. And they don't really realize the stress and the responsibilities that are on their shoulder. And Kyoshi, the entire book is just talking about how much she did not want to be the Avatar. She doesn't want the attention. She doesn't want that kind of strength. And Aang, in the future, he is being 12 years old, literally ran away from his family because he didn't want to be the Avatar. I just wanted to ask, like, your view on it, like, because I know it's a very interesting construct where people are like, well, this strength is, you know, so important. Being able to have this kind of power doesn't matter what comes with it. But I know a lot of people are like, no, I'm good.
They seem to not want it. Even Avatar Kuruk doesn't want it. He's very lighthearted and he doesn't want the responsibilities of being the Avatar. It's a very hard burden. As much as you would want to be able to control and do all of these things, it is almost so understanding to know that all of these Avatars just, they don't want it. They're not born into it. They're almost thrown into it as if they have no choice and they have to burden. Like, the humanity of it all is so much for any one person to take. If I could be the Avatar, as much as I could say how awesome it would be, when you read these books, when you read how Kyoshi goes through everything, the battle for right and wrong and the justice, and Aang fighting, talking to the lion turtle, being the only person in so many years to be able to take that bending away from somebody, to bend that energy. Being the Avatar is probably one of the hardest things in the world to do. The burden and the sadness that these characters go through and develop in this storyline. Oh, I don't think I could ever be the Avatar. Mm-hmm. As much as I would want to just be like, yeah, I can do all these cool things. Oh, wow. No.
Solid no.
So hard. I'd rather be somebody to help the Avatar in some way. It's a responsibility in its own. I don't think I could ever do. Gosh.
I mean, to go back, I liked how you said that they are not born into it, they're thrown into it. And I guess if you don't know the way that the cycle works is that after the Avatar dies, the next person is born into the world with the next cycle of elements. And you don't know until you are living for 12, 15, 16 years, however long it takes, and you're just pulled from your life, and now you have this responsibility of the entire world on your shoulders. So,
to create right and wrong. What a responsibility. Oh.
So it's a lot of responsibility. So having these characters that all have different kinds of backgrounds and seeing how they are able to cope with these kind of responsibilities is very, very interesting. And I love the creators being able to think of this kind of cool cycle through life where we can still have this story, but get to see with different characters. So we're not focused on just one person. We get to see other people. I love that they did that. But I just wanted to bring that up because I found it very interesting when I was reading it. Yeah. So before we head out, we do a little rating scale here on the Book Stop. We kind of make up our own thing. So I personally would give The Rise of Kyoshi 9.5 people from the Flying Opera Company that doesn't actually sing opera out of 10. So I think this is the highest number I've ever given on the podcast. Again, a little biased because I love the Avatar universe, but this book was just so good. Like, from the first page to the last, it's like constantly turning it. Like, I just fell in love with Kyoshi even more. I loved Kyoshi from the beginning, and she's such a strong, powerful character, and the relationships within it with everybody that she meets, it's so strong. I just love this book so much, and if you haven't read this book, I highly recommend it. This was so good.
I'm going to give this book a 10 out of 10 Kyoshi fans. This book, again, I may be biased, but I am an Avatar fan. This book, twists and turns the whole way through. Like Jen said, everything about this book leads into the Avatar universe in such amazingness. It just makes you want to continue to learn about the Avatars, learn about the history, learn about everything and what this author, what this universe has to give. Oh my goodness, this book is phenomenal. It really is. Yes, of course, there can always be more, but that's what I'm hoping for the second book to give. 10 out of 10. Can't wait for more.
And I can't wait to read the second one. But yeah, thank you so much for coming onto the podcast. I really appreciate you reading probably one of my new favorite books with me and talking about it.
I am so happy to be here. This is literally amazing. I can't wait. I really hope that we can talk about Shadow of Kyoshi too, because I can't wait.
We definitely
You
will.
start that, I'll start that. Let's go.
All right. Well, thank you again. The next episode, we don't have it scheduled yet, but I guarantee the Shadow of Kyoshi will be coming in next year for sure.
Absolutely.
But yeah, thank you again, and I appreciate it.
Bye.
Thank you for turning the pages with us this week. If you've enjoyed this episode, show your support on social media. Don't forget to turn on your notifications to get a reminder of the next episode. Thanks again for listening to The Book Stop. Bye!